Hi everyone, Zookeeper Kelsey and Mateo the Ocelot from Elmwood Park Zoo here. We had some free time today, so we decided to bring the zoo to you guys. So we're going to do a training session. And hopefully Mateo wants to do a training session and he'll do everything just fine for us. But before I start training, I'm going to go over a few things with you guys. I won't be able to talk while I'm doing the training session because I have to pay attention to Mateo. And I'll also have a whistle in my mouth, so it makes it a little bit difficult to speak. So I'm going to tell you guys some of the behaviors that he's going to be showing us and show you some of the tools that we have. First off, I'll show you his treats. So this is Mateo's food. I made tiny little meatballs. He's got little pieces of chicken in there, some beef chunk. Sometimes he's got fish, not today. So I made the little meatballs because Mateo has a very small mouth, so he trains for very small pieces of food. The base of his diet is actually Nebraska, which is made for zoo carnivores. It has a lot of different vitamins and minerals in it too, which is really good for these guys. And then the beef chunk was actually donated, so thank you very much to the restaurants who donated food for us. So when we train these guys, we don't just do it for fun. So we train these guys to help out with veterinary procedures or just to do any general care that we might need to do regularly for them. Training them makes it easier for them and makes things less scary. So, if you have to go to the doctors and you have to get a shot, it's a little bit scary because shots kind of hurt. At least you know what's happening though. So sometimes you animals have to get shots too, and they don't know what a shot is, and they don't have their mom there telling them everything's going to be fine. So basically we would have to train them that a shot is not super scary. So to do that, I actually have what we call a dummy needle. So it's just like a regular needle, except that it has a blunted tip. It's not sharp. It doesn't hurt to get poked with it. So we use this. That way the animals get to see what a needle looks like, and they're not scared of it. It's normal. It's every day. It makes perfect sense to them that it's around them. And then when they have to get a shot with a vaccination or something else that the vet might need to give them, then we can just have them lay down and give them a shot in their hip, and it's done. And it takes 2 seconds. A lot less scary. A lot of us will also be using target sticks when we train. So this is Mateo's target stick. It's just a tennis ball. So he's actually trained to poke this with his nose. Some of the other animals can be trained to give their hip or a foot perhaps for a target stick. Mateo just needs his nose. And a lot of us use that to actually start off training. It's safe, it's easy, and it's kind of like a fun thing for the animals to learn that they can trust us and kind of learn how to train, essentially. We also have a touching stick for Mateo. It's just a wooden stick. We train Mateo to allow us to touch parts of his body and his toes, and up under his neck and on his ears. If we have to give him any kind of like topical medicine, so on his skin, if he gets a boo-boo or something, that way we can just use the stick to put that on him. He doesn't want us to touch him with his fingers, and I don't want to touch him with my fingers. He has very sharp claws and very sharp teeth, so we use the stick instead. And we train him to do that now, so that way if he ever does have a boo-boo in the future, we can use it really easily. A couple other things that Mateo knows how to do is stand up on his back legs, and he puts his front feet up on the fence. That's called up. That lets us see his belly and his front foot pads to see if they're healthy and not drying out or cracking or anything like that. He'll also climb entirely up on the fence, and that's so we can see his back pads. He sits down, and he also lays down. You'll also hear me ask him to do shoot a few times. So shoot is basically when I want him to go into between the fence and a piece of wood and lay down. And that is what we use before we have to give him an injection, or if we have to touch him, we'll ask him to go into the shoot. That way he's laying down in his normal spot. So I'm gonna start training him. You're gonna hear my whistle, which I use basically to tell him you did something right. So if you train a dog at home, it's the same thing as when you tell your dog good. Only I'm going to use a whistle. So I'll be asking him for several different behaviors. Hopefully he'll do good for us, and I'll be whistling when he does them right. So thank you guys. Target. 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 Off up. Touch. Touch. Sit. Target. Shoot. Poke. Mateo, touch. 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 Up. Up. Touch. Down. Sit.